Okay, so we're at 10 o'clock here, and let's kick things off because we've got a lot to cover, and Erin is going to lead us in a bunch of stuff here. I wanted to pick up on just really quickly a couple comments here regarding AI. There's no question that AI is an incredibly valuable tool. I use it a lot. And if you've been watching the news, you saw that last week Anthropic released a version of its Claude AI engine called Mythos. And this Mythos was so powerful, it absolutely discovered major breach risk in every major operating system. And so Anthropic was so concerned about how powerful this was because it actually escaped. It escaped the little sandbox that Anthropic had in the lab. And so they corralled it back in the lab, and they're only releasing it to to 40 major banks and operating systems and things so that they can discover and fix the errors and the risk in their banking systems and their operating systems before Mythos is generally released to the public. So this explains how rapidly and quickly AI is becoming a force, right? And it's a force for good, and it certainly can be a force for evil. But relative to how we as individuals use it, right? I present these thoughts here in terms of cautions and do's and don'ts. AI it can be incredibly helpful in terms of drafting, in terms of recording, in terms of summarizing, but make sure that you know that whenever you're using AI, you are helping it train, so never give it confidential information, never share proprietary information, personal information that you think would be compromising to yourself, and make sure that whatever results you get back from it, you double check it. I actually used AI the week before last to actually see what sort of events and theater and music events were going to be happening in New York in the early fall when Bev and I are traveling. And it came back with this huge list of all great concerts and things happening. I went to check individual tickets and individual assignments. None of it was true. And it came back. I said, "Hey, AI, none of these events are real. They're not really happening." And it came back and said, "Yeah, you're right. None of them are happening." It just kind of shrugged. Said, so AI can be confidently wrong. So do not believe it from base work here. So just the quick summary here is that don't use any sensitive information when you're engaging with AI. Don't use it as the final authority, right? Do verify anything it purports to claim, and do watch for signs of manipulation. Anything that seems to be pushing you to, hey, got to make a decision, better make an answer now. It sure seems like you're, being a little depressed or you need to. So be wary of it. Any other thoughts, by the way, with respect to AI and the use of AI?
I found it's really important to be careful if you're using it for scientific research or any sort of academic research. Um, Claude is actually pretty good because it'll give you result links, and Perplexity will as
Yeah.
well. But it's not designed to do the research for you. It can help you analyze that research, but doing the research itself, it can find. I mean, they've actually proven somebody put out just a blatantly BS research study that, halfway through it said this is fake, and all of the engines picked it up, and it actually showed up as a source in an academic paper because the writer of that paper didn't actually verify the source.
Hey, Kelly, if I might add, I had a love-hate relationship with AI, but more of it's love. I had uh, AI. Some AIs have a different training model than others. Grok, for example, is one that if it doesn't know the answer, it is programmed to tell you it doesn't know the answer. Where others like ChatGPT will, if it doesn't know the answer, it will approximate an answer and it will guess. If you ask the AI, is this accurate or are you making it up? Then you might actually get a verification they made it up or it's actually true, and they will double back and say, here's the information. But as a benefit, I was able to avoid ACL shoulder surgery for a second time because I plugged in my MRI results of my shoulder from the VA, and it gave me an alternative treatment for it that was non-invasive that is working in a really great way. It's eliminating me needing to go get shoulder surgery, and the VA wouldn't pay for it because he said it was too experimental, even though the research reports show in the last 2 years it works. And I was able to get the VA to reverse its position, saying, okay, we're going to fund it and we're going to start looking at this. So in many ways, if you ask it, is this verified? Is this, or are you making this up? It will double back and verify the information for you.
See, there you go. So there's both the caution and the use. And Marilyn has put in the chat, right, that it can often over embellish, to data here. So thanks,
Well,
Randy, for that sharing. Mike, yeah.
yeah, I found that not staying with one AI, I'll use 3 or 4 of them. Use Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, Grok, and I'll go to different. Each one of them has a different capability that can give you better results. So it's knowing which. Don't get stuck with just one AI. Poke around and use a couple more and get a different feel for it. I think it's funny that when AI really doesn't lie, it's not a purposeful lie. My understanding is they're meant to give you an answer, and if it's a wrong answer, it's called an hallucination. I thought that was kind of funny, the terminology they use, but use different AIs was the moral of the story.
Excellent thought. Karen, you have your hand up. You're on mute, but your hand went down. Well, if anybody else has thoughts regarding AI, throw them in the chat there.
I'm sorry, that was a mistake.
Okay. It was an hallucination. Hallucination, right?
My Zoom got upgraded or something, and I'm having a difficult time sometimes maneuvering that other stuff.
There you go.
Me. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Kim.
Okay, I guess I accidentally put myself on mute this entire time. I don't think we should talk about AI without talking about the ethical complications, especially regarding the environment, especially since we're a Master Gardener's program. I am very concerned about everyone just talking about it, but meanwhile, it's having a horrible impact on the environment, on the people who are nearby these AI data centers. So I have to wonder, why are we pushing AI right now when we are seeing catastrophic problems right now, especially regarding energy use and water use?
Well, valid points to be bring up and discussed, Kim. Valid perspectives on this. It was interesting, just in support of your thought, by the way, Kim, that I don't know if you saw that there was where was it? Was it Texas or Arkansas that the town voted out? They actually threw out their town council because the town council had approved a data center nearby, and the populace actually voted out the council.
If I could add one thing here about in terms of the benefits versus disadvantage. I used AI to design an alternative to the safe haven tsunami evacuation we came up with a concept that it costs only about $700 per person to vertical evacuation versus the steel and tower cost, which is about $24,000 per evacuation. And the fact that it's actually more stable than what the current mechanism is for evacuation. Now the situation is trying to get officials to actually look at the proposal. But in many ways, AI can actually save thousands of lives by helping to prove a concept that's much better than what people have traditionally used.
Randy, thank you for sharing. Let's jump into the overall program because, again, we have a lot to cover. So, just beginning with the calendar. because it's a busy month, as many of them are. I wanted to represent on here all of the meetings that the e-news publishes and make sure that you're getting the e-news and you're receiving the news and digesting the e-news. Because there's a lot going on across both counties and lots of opportunities for engagement, continuing education, as well as service. So a reminder that today at 1 o'clock, our board meets, the foundation board meets, the same URL, the same Zoom URL as you're on here today. Everyone is welcome to join. Study group is tomorrow. Study group is tomorrow with a visit to Vista Gardens in Bremerton. And at Midge or anybody else who's on, who's all going to the Bremerton Garden tomorrow?
Hey, it's Midge. I think there are 14 or 15 of us going. There's a couple of cars, 3 cars going from the Monte Elma area. And it'll be a great day, even though the weather doesn't look real good. So looking forward to seeing everybody and seeing the gardens. And if anybody else wants to come, just Google Vista Gardens and hopefully find somebody to carpool up there with.
Yeah, parking's a little tight up there. We had Bev and I visited there month before last, and no worries, Midge. They actually have a very nice little conference room that even if the weather is inclement, it's a great conference room to sit viewing the garden. So you're going to have a great visit tomorrow.
Yeah, and they promised tea and cookies midway through our tour. So
it's there. I confirm.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be a great day.
So work parties and all the go ahead, please.
This is Garnet, and I am going up. So a quick question to Midge. As one who always wants to know where my next meal is coming from, are we planning to go out to lunch or are we bringing our lunches?
Bring your lunches.
Okay.
Or snacks or something.
Okay, great.
Yeah. I don't know what's available around there, but he had suggested bringing our lunch.
It's a fairly residential neighborhood, so I think I encourage you to bring a lunch. Okay. So again, we have work parties at Owako, work parties at the Elma Demo Garden. Thursday, of course, is the grand opening. The grand opening of groundbreaking. Excuse me, I said grand opening, but it's just come on. There we go. Is the groundbreaking ceremony up in Ocean Shores. And I'm trusting that the weather is actually going to be improved by then. So you'll actually have a good, a good day for visit. Any other comments regarding the event? Mike, I know you're traveling up there from here. Anyone else, want to make a comment regarding?
Fairly short and sweet. Especially if the weather's not so great.
No, the weather's supposed to be good.
Yeah, it's supposed to be at least not raining, which is great. Right. So we have invited, I don't know, probably close to 100 people. So we're, I think we're expecting probably less than half that because a lot of them are government officials, but I think we're expecting several officials from the city of Ocean Shores and the Methodist Church that hosts is the land owner,
library,
and trying to think. Yeah, so it'll be good, and we'll have refreshments afterwards, and a chance to just kind of hang out and talk about the garden afterwards. So.
Well, it's going to be great visibility for the program. So make sure everybody's wearing their badges, right? When you're proud, and all of your Master Gardener paraphernalia, clothing options here.
Definitely.
Anyway, congratulations on that. It's a big step forward, everybody. Big step forward. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, of course, this is crunch time here for the Home and Garden Show coming up just next month. So, I'm going to the next 2 slides talk about the Home and Garden Show in particular as something that everyone needs to wrestle up on. And this year, I tell you, it's a phenomenal change in sign up for volunteers based upon the use of Give Pulse. And I was fascinated myself in terms of just exploring what all is available in terms of GivePulse, in terms of how to sign up for various functions. And so, Rhonda, you want to pick up and share some of the comments in terms of what's going on, in terms of how to use GivePulse to sign up as a volunteer?
Sure. Um, we actually have had quite a lot sign up that way, which has been really fun to see because I actively get emails as people are going on and signing up or canceling. I think the biggest point that I really want to make is that it was a trial period for Wendy and I both. It has been hugely successful, but I do get it that it can be hard to navigate and figure out where to go, especially if you've not spent your life on technology. So first thing I want to say is if you are stuck or frustrated or don't understand, I don't care. Call me or text me and I will help with it. I have entered a few people and others I've helped walk them through it. And once they get it, it's like a no-brainer. Cool part is I get to run reports. Like today, I just ran a report just moments ago. And so far, we are 53% full. So of 126 placements, 67 people have signed up. I'm going to be asking everyone to take a secondary round and look to see if there's any place else you can give your time. I'm just thrilled. It's going better than I expected, and it's nice to be able to quickly look to see where we have problems, where we need to get bodies, and I can follow up with it. So thanks everyone for being willing to try. And if you haven't tried yet and want to, let me know. I will help.
Any
Just
comments?
to add, I was gonna
Go
say,
ahead.
just to add, I can help too if anybody has any issues. But also, what's on GivePulse is just for the home and garden show shifts. The plant clinic and the youth outreach are not on GivePulse, and you need to contact Lou and
Janice.
Okay,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Janice for
Janice
youth
or Laura
and
Lee.
Lou for plant clinic.
Yep. And
This is
those are
this
because
is
they're
Elizabeth,
looking.
and you can contact Janice, or you can
Elizabeth,
contact
we
Laura
can't
Lee
hear you, but
Ruzicka for children's activities.
Yes.
And that satisfies your outreach hours, you guys.
There you go. There's Elizabeth making a comment there. There's the important opportunity for volunteering. So again, as Rhonda's saying, reach out to if there's any questions or problems using GivePulse to sign up for a volunteer spot, right? Reach out to Rhonda or for Erin.
Yep.
I also wanted to give a shout out to Lori because this is a great opportunity to earn a continuing education hour. I mean, where else in the Master Gardener universe can you earn a continuing education hour for baking a chocolate chip cookie? I mean, come on, think about that, right? So this is a big deal. Lori, do you have any other comments regarding what we're looking for in terms of you mentioned you have an article in the e-news on this, but any other comments you want to make?
Sorry about that. No, I have nothing more at this time. Just start baking.
This is, it's amazing how much we earn from the refreshment booth. I mean, so this is $1,000 plus, right, that we get every year. So people will buy the cookies, they'll buy the sweets, read up the e-news, read up the article in the news in terms of how to label things and get those cookies baking. By the way, ask your friends and neighbors to bake cookies. I've got kind of a little neighborhood clutch going on around here, and everybody's contributing cookies to the event.
Kelly, I have one more thing I wanted to say about registration for helping. As many of you have heard, and I had a lot of confirmation on everything this morning, you'll notice that setup on the Home and Garden Show shows that it's full. And it's because we only have going the key people that generally start off with hauling everything. And what we've coordinated with is the I just went blank. The court.
It's
Therapeutic court.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's called the therapeutic court. And they're going to be sending 22 to 23 people that morning to help with setup so that we don't physically wear ourselves out on Thursday doing setup. But they will not be there Sunday evening when we tear down. And we could certainly use people to show up. If you don't work Sunday at all and just want to come help us tear down, it typically takes about 2 hours. And the more bodies, the faster it'll go. So if you have the opportunity to come back on Sunday, please do sign up for Takedown. That was it.
We definitely need all the volunteers and all the support we can offer at this point. Terry, do you have any other comments? Any other other reflections on the event coming up we need to share?
Well, some of our best publicity is word of mouth. So hopefully everyone will talk to their friends and family members and get them to come to the show. Also, you should check out the speakers that we have for Saturday and Sunday. We have some wonderful presentations. Perhaps Midge would like to fill in. Otherwise, I can give a little list. We do have an opportunity to show the Caterpillar film that was such a big hit during study group, and that's going to be on Saturday. Great opportunity for any of you who didn't see it, including myself, because it did get rave reviews, and it's also a wonderful thing to tell younger members that you know, kids and kids at heart who would like to know more information about these amazing creatures. So that's going on Saturday, as well as Gwendolyn is talking about the Polson Garden and growing roses in our crazy maritime climate. We have actually a rather interesting speaker in the afternoon who is talking about indigenous plants and how you can use them. So that should be, she's actually a native of the Chehalis tribe. So that should be really interesting. And then Sunday, we have a presentation by an extension person who is going to talk about, let's see, pollinators, specifically
Mason
bees. Thank you. Midge, go ahead. Take over.
No, she's going to talk about mason bees and their importance and as pollinators. And I think she's going to talk a little bit too about some of the diseases or illnesses that affect these bees and how to take care of that. She's getting her PhD in mason bees, and so she's quite knowledgeable. And hopefully she will incorporate the little mason bee houses that are being made in the children's area too. So kind of a dual purpose there. And then our last speaker is going to be Marianne Benetti. Most of you know who she is, and she's going to do a version of Container Wars. So we will have containers available and a couple of master gardeners who will be the contestants, and Marianne as the moderator, I guess, Terry,
Yes.
kind of supervising what they're doing. And then at the end, the plants will be available for sale, not the containers, but the plants. So we're trying to incorporate a few native plants in the plantings just so people can see what that will look like and how to use natives and native pollinators to better effect in their gardens. So it's going to be a busy schedule. And I hope that everybody does. If you have not seen this Caterpillar film, I hope you go in and see it. It's going to be shown at 11 on Saturday. And I don't know with our rights if we can run it, but hopefully we can. So,
Midge, Midge,
yeah.
actually, the schedule you gave me has the Caterpillar movie at noon on Saturday.
Did I? Oh, yes, that's right. I'm sorry.
That's
Gwendolyn's
okay.
Gwendolyn's at 10:30.
No,
Caterpillar's at noon.
she's at 11, according to the schedule
11,
you just
okay.
sent me.
I don't have the schedule in front of me. Sorry. And Gwendolyn, you have your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to reiterate the word of mouth comment by Terry. On Facebook, we have the Home and Garden Show event. You know, this flyer on the event page, as well as on our Master Gardener Facebook page. We already have like 650 people interested in the event, but if you see it, share it, share it in your community, share it with your friends, pass it around, because that is something that they can print off or save and refer back to. It's just really important with just about everything that we do, that if you see it on the Facebook page or go look for it, that you share it and keep the word out. So thank you.
This really is an important point that both Terry and Gwen are making here, is that word of mouth, right? Referenceability is the primary way in which folks are getting information and getting committed to do stuff. So social media, your own personal contacts, your own personal credibility plays a huge part, right, in bringing people to the event. So by the way, not only is it a big deal for us, it's a huge deal for the vendors, right, that play with us, right, in the arena. And it's a major economic driver for the county. I mean, we do estimate that close to $750,000, right, is actually generated that weekend around the businesses that are in the arena, the associated businesses and restaurants and hotels and things. So it's a big effing deal, as they say.
And,
okay.
and to speak to that, I've had a couple people say, "Oh, did you see the Home and Garden Show?" I said, "Yes, that's our event," and so the word is already getting out. I mean, people here in Olympia are already talking about it. So,
good.
So I said, be sure and spread the word, and now I have the brochures and stuff, so I can distribute those to them.
So all the more reason for everybody to volunteer and to sign up. So make sure everybody's jumping on and reach out to Rhonda, Lori, or Erin and get those cookies.
Kelly, I have one point of clarification. If you're baking for the bake sale, it's actually program support hours rather than continuing education.
Very good. There's the correction. Karen, you have your hand up?
Yes. I'm going to tell Midge to make sure that you get some posters to the farmers market in Olympia. I used to do that and I can't do it anymore, but they'll put them up for us.
Great. Thanks, Karen. I was wondering about that. So yeah, we're there quite often. So I'll make a point of it.
Okay. So pushing on, just reminding ourselves that we gather here today, right, as Master Gardeners, right, as certified Master Gardeners under the Master Gardener program administered by WSU Extension. We have a foundation, right? We have a nonprofit 501c3 foundation whose whole purpose is to generate funds and generate engagement in support of the program. And your board, right, your leadership of the foundation is led by Mike, with associated officers and directors, as indicated here, and one of the things we're going to be discussing at the board meeting at 1:00 today are a revised set of articles of incorporation and bylaws that actually will be the governance documents for our foundation. We are amending our governance documents to align with WSU Extension's goal to make more consistent and current language for all Master Gardener foundations across the state. So if you'll learn, we'll talk about this more at the foundation meeting at 1:00 today. New articles of incorporation, new bylaws, and a new memo of understanding, a memo of agreement with the state the state program will be discussed. These articles and the bylaws, once they're approved by the board, will be pushed out to all of us as members of the foundation for approval. So we all as members will actually approve these articles and these bylaws. We will vote on these in the coming month, pending approval from the board later today. Okay. So we have three regional directors, right? Three regional directors that are that we have out here, and this is an opportunity for each of the directors to actually share a little bit in terms of what's all going on. Rita, do you want to start with any thoughts in terms of what's happening in Pacific County?
Well, we are continuing to try to get the MOA approved for the Cranberry greenhouse. It's not approved yet. We're going into like the third iteration of the document. We did meet with the foundation for the Cranberry Research Center and got some more clear information from them on what they will and what they will not do. So we're in the process. I am in the process of putting that into a new MOA. And once that's done, Mike Carvio will review it and then we'll send it off to Erin to see what happens. Other than that, I mean, that's the big thing is working on the greenhouse. Bev has scheduled the weekly weeding in the native plant gardens. So every Wednesday from 1 to 3. And Marilyn Marshall has a workshop coming up at the Peninsula Senior Activity Center on May 14th to talk about kitchen gardening and raised beds and containers. So that's about what we're doing down here.
Lots of stuff happening. Reach out to Rita if there's any questions about what's happening down here in Pacific County. Sally, do you have any thoughts? Do you have any thoughts regarding what's going on up in Greater Grays Harbor?
Well, I think that's been touched on by everybody, I think, but I just wanted to point out that Westport has now doing a food bank involving with Cindy at the demo gardens. You know, they connected up and they're very excited about that.
Very good. And Wendy, anybody else? I think Wendy's still traveling, but anybody else want to comment in terms of anything's happening up at the coast?
Just say that Dig Outdoors is pretty big in Wendy's absence.
Yeah, so we're just gearing up for the groundbreaking ceremony. We have a gold shovel and lots of people invited, and we do have some parking issues, because we don't know exactly how many is going to come. I sent the city clerk an invite because she was instrumental in getting me the gold shovel, and she put it on the city calendar. So we have no clue how many people are going to show up. But we're real excited about it and just working away. And we've got a great team over there working with everything, and we're getting a lot of help with some of our members that are also Garden by the Sea, board members that are helping us pull everything together. So yeah, we're moving along. We're real excited.
It's going to be a big event. Congratulations. So regarding at the state level, of course, remember we are officially sorted out here with Erin as our program coordinator. And we're thrilled to have, this is the first time, right? The first time, think about it, in 25 years plus, right? Of operating as a foundation, we have a paid program coordinator focused on us here. And Wendy is the assistant, the program assistant. Okay. So lots to be excited about as we get into this thing. So I think we've emphasized this point significantly relative to the Relative Home and Garden Show, but as a service organization, it is our expectation, right, to step up and to volunteer. So this is our opportunity to claim your program support hours, your continuing education hours, right? Get out there and, get out there and engage. So my Tapio moment, by the way, is an interesting one. I was looking again one of the things that I try to do is to go back and look up Don's book, right? From years ago, More Than a Green Thumb. And his April 19th, 2010 publication, April 19th, 2010, was all about, hey, April showers, they really do bring May flowers? And his comment emphasized the fact that we do get so much rain in our climate during this year. It's an ideal time for fungus and fungal diseases, right, to pop up. And what I found fascinating by Don's write-up back in 2010 is that he jumps right into the chemistry and jumps right into the chemical fungicides that he recommends for use. And what was even more interesting is that, well, let's put it this way, that it's a clear reminder to all of us as master gardeners that chemicals by themselves are not evil. Chemicals have a place in the toolkit. And so, chemical fungicides and herbicides have a role that can be very appropriate, pending proper use. We don't have to be anti-chemical all the time. Now, what I also found interesting about Don's write-up is that he went beyond simply giving the specific molecular name, chlorophenol, captain, or triflin, and actually started giving recommendations for specific brand names of fungicides that could be purchased that contain these core fungicide molecular structures. And he makes the point that, at some point you've got to, he's sharing these names not as a recommendation, not as a commercial recommendation, but as an opportunity to actually share where and how these active ingredients as a fungicide are going to be found. The key point that it means for us today, and you think about when Don was writing this in 2010, we only had HortSense, and it was a very rudimentary HortSense at that time. Today, when you start querying WSU, fungus diseases or WSU herbicide control, what quickly comes up is a recommendation to go to the Plant Disease Management Handbook. The Plant Disease Management Handbook, which has online an incredibly rich, robust search mechanism. And for example, what you're looking at in the screenshot to the left here, I just put in powdery mildew, and up pops a huge list. You can see 105, citations of what to do regarding powdery mildew on specific plant species. So the richness of material that's available to us as master gardeners and available to the public today in 2026 is vastly improved from what Don was having to write about 25 years ago. By the way, the other the document you're looking at on the right, Linda Chalker Scott and Calvert's write-up on organic fungicides in the home garden, that's actually a 2014 publication. So it itself is over 10 years old and has actually already been archived by WSU. So it's not even a current document. Point being, we have a rich set of materials and a rich set of research materials to draw from regarding chemical use on our plants. And we as master gardeners need to recognize that these are indeed tools in our toolbox. Gwen, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I follow a lot of Pacific Northwest gardening, Facebook groups, and one of them is roses, of course, because I do the Polson garden. But people are already reporting that they're finding powdery mildew and rust on their roses already this season because we had such a mild winter, and so keep an eye out.
There you go. And a key comment that Don makes, by the way, is that you've got to apply, these chemicals are prophylactic. They got to be applied before you see the mildew or the rust. So you get after it.
This is Garnet. I read an interesting article a year ago in Horticulture magazine. One of the test gardens in the East, and I unfortunately don't remember which one, was trying, and they were all non-chemical. they were trying using salvia planted around their roses because the salvia puts sulfur into the soil. And they were testing that to see if it was helpful against black spot. Of course, I don't know the results of their testing. It was still in the trial basis, but I thought that was interesting. And we actually, out at the fairgrounds, we did put in some salvia, and I have some around one of my little roses that are in a pot. So we'll see. It's fun to try.
By the way, part of my digging around in the subject actually did talk about sulfur, and sulfur, of course, is quite commonly used, right, as around, especially around powdery mildew and so forth. However, the efficacy of sulfur was actually noted as far less than some of these other more active molecular chemicals that Don noted. At any rate, it's fascinating stuff, and a lot to be engaged in. And again, another tool in our toolbox. Okay, a bunch of announcements and so forth. I just want to kick into quickly the April to-dos here. This is really a great opportunity to maintain and to recommend a garden journal. Just as Gwen, you're sharing here, is that we're seeing rust and powdery mildew earlier than normal. We need to be writing these things down so that we have this reference material year on year. So it's advised for all of us, right, to work on this. Time to also be thinking about our soil and our garden beds here. Amend generously with organic materials, right? It sounds very erudite as we speak to that thing. By the way, FYI is that I'll be picking up a pallet of coir later this week. So we'll have it, Terry and I have been talking about, we'll be able to offer this to our master gardeners for a special price. So look for a coir offering as we get into things here. Always interesting to think about, vegetable plantings when the soil is consistently above 60 degrees. We're not quite there yet. It's just interesting. We're still in the 50s in terms of we start thinking about the soil temperatures. But again, your soil thermometer will help detect all this. A pitch, by the way, once again for WSU's Ag WeatherNet. They have a fascinating climatology section you can click down on. And for Montesano, for example, you can click down on Montesano and up comes this slide here, which shows you temperature ranges, across the year. And it gives you a chance to think about when you're most likely to experience a late frost or extreme heat. So what you can see, I picked up on the screenshot, I picked over to today's date, and we can see the record high and the record low and the normal range for today's date. You can do that then for any date across the calendar year. Fascinating tool, and easily available, readily available to all of us. So maintenance and cleanup, spring flowering bulbs allow foliage to brown and die down before removing. Always time to prune. Always time to prune, fertilizing, manuring, cut back ornamental grasses. Guard against late spring frost. Because I'm noting here is that on plantmaps.com, you actually can see a calendar, a color-coded calendar of where the last frost dates are for your geography. You can zoom in, and based upon the color coding, you can see that we've got frost risk still coming, coming well through the month of April, and extending into May. So and I'm presuming actually, Erin, where you're at is you've probably got the greatest frost risk still. And of course, Gail and Randy up there in the valley, your frost risk is going to be high too. So it's time to think. We'd like to think we're right into spring and ready to get going, but there's still a risk of frost. And then finally, just in terms of pest monitoring, it's time to start thinking about, as you're seeing here, pests that are indeed going to be, just as we were talking about powdery mildew and rust. This is the time to be thinking about and getting ahead of those possible, possible pests and possible problems. Okay. And then finally, planting propagation. So opportunities to selectively start your vegetable garden if you've got it, soil and weather conditions permit. Okay. Other comments regarding what's happening in your gardens and things that we should be thinking about, taking care of here in our coastal environment?
Can I add one thing, Kelly?
Yes, Gail.
We just heard a few days ago that Washington is in a drought now. So that means our fire risk may be higher this summer. So now's a good time to really start thinking about what's around our homes and prepare just in case there is a fire to push back the
Fire-wise landscaping, a
burn.
huge part,
Yeah.
huge part of what we all have to be thinking about as master gardeners. And indeed, it's going to be dry. It's going to be dry for across the entire state. Hopefully, less of an impact here for us at the coast, but nonetheless, Gail, well noted, well noted. Okay. Other announcements and thoughts from anyone? I wanted to begin by sharing what Helen was noting, that there's going to be a bird sit up at Lake Sylvia on Wednesday, the 22nd. And I remember Helen shared a bird sit as you get to go drink coffee and listen to birds. So at Wednesday, the 22nd, Lake Sylvia for your bird sit. Other announcements from anyone to share?
This is Garnet. I just wanted to say that from the demonstration garden, the food bank program is up and going. We've added, Westport is now being covered at their food bank, and then the Hoquiam one is, and Elma is. We've already started giving out plants. For any interns on, I am a good contact for scheduling in. Our schedule is pretty well full with the veterans, but there's always room for an intern. And this is a good way to get your plant clinic hours in maybe a little less, a good way to put your toe in and feel a little more comfortable in the process before you actually go to a plant clinic. Up here, it's Mondays, starting now at 10:30 rather than 10. And usually takes an hour, maybe an hour and a half. We give away plants, and it's just really fun.
And it was a great article in the e-news, right, talking about those opportunities for engagement, Garnet. So to underscore how important it is, how important we are as master gardeners, right, at these food banks, creating awareness of the importance and opportunities to grow some of our own foods and to care about the environment, the ecosystem, in the care in which we do.
Right.
And so it's a great tip off, Garnet, also to be talking about recording your hours and making sure the hours are being recorded here. Because as we get into this busy spring time of all of our master gardener activities, let's not neglect to put those hours in to give pulse. By the way, other announcements to share. Erin, if you have any other comments regarding recording your hours, and how are we doing in terms of getting hours in and checking the calendar for activities?
I actually haven't looked at Give Pulse a whole lot. Wendy has been taking on most of the Give Pulse activities. So, let's see. The easiest way, when you are in Give Pulse, and we can walk you through it if you need help. When you go into your dashboard, there's a little calendar icon about the middle of the screen. And if you click on that, it'll show all the events that are available to sign up for on a calendar. So you can pick the day, and then it'll show, like for the Home and Garden Show, it'll show shifts. If it's just a smaller event, a shorter event, then it'll just have one shift for that. But you can sign up, and there is a maximum number of slots for each event based on whoever's organizing it, based on what they said their needs were. So if it is full, I recommend contacting the organizer before just showing up, because you could end up with too many bodies in the booth or something like that. So just being aware.
So again, Give Pulse though as a huge resource is a huge tool, right? So let's all get good with it. Let's all get good at using it. And of course Kim and Erin and Wendy are right there to facilitate us, if we run into any hiccups on this thing. Okay. Any other announcements? Any other comments?
Yes, I have a question. So I have some people over at Grace Harbor College who would be interested in having the Master Gardeners over to help out with the culinary arts students. And I just want to know who to contact to help facilitate that.
Contact me, please.
Okay. All right.
I'm actually emailing the president of the college later today about doing work outreach through the college. So.
Oh, great.
Just as a note, I know that the Grace Harbor College here in Owaco and Raymond are very interested in having more classes being shared for public education. So this is a great opportunity for Master Gardeners to think about preparing and delivering workshops.
Yeah.
And
we are in the process, or Wendy started the process of an MOA so that we can use their classroom space as well for outreach. That unfortunately hasn't gotten very far because I'm got 2 other MOAs to deal with right now, but that's on the list. So.
And Erin, I think that's a great tip off back to you. So this is I'm sorry, Terry, go ahead, please.
I just want to bring up that even though it's only, it's 2.5 months away, the garden tour and the plant sale, which we'll need a lot of help for. We have 7 wonderful gardens in Ocean Shores for the garden tour. They're all interesting and different from one another, so it should be a very exciting tour. We're all hoping that the plant sale is going to be at the new demonstration garden, Diggett Shores, hopefully the fence will be up by then and we'll be able to protect all the plants from the marauding deer that live in Ocean Shores. So anyway, please put July 18th on your calendar.
July 18th on the calendar. It is amazing. It will be upon us before we know it. So let us prepare. And again, reminder, in e-news, there was an article again talking about, getting plants ready for that sale. Yes, we have a number of plants already underway here from a native plant standpoint, but all plants are welcomed. And there's a great opportunity for us as Master Gardeners to take our splits, to take our starts, and to think about cultivating those into 1-gallon containers in time for July. Erin, with that, I'm going to turn this over to you. Okay. And I'm going to stop sharing here and give us time for you to share your erudition with us here.
All right. Well, I didn't create any slides today, but I do have a couple of documents that I can share. So kind of just to
Erin, we lose you. Erin. Hello, Erin. Erin.
who provided over 8,000 volunteer hours for an estimated economic value of $281,000. We had 61 Ask a Master Gardener plant clinics, 21 workshops and presentations, 45 youth outreach programs that served over 1,200 adults and 1,300 youth. The youth numbers went up significantly this year or last year. And I think primarily that was the school program at Ocean Shores Elementary School is what really bumped that up a lot last year. They've scaled that back a little bit because it was pretty ambitious, but we also have a couple of new schools that we've gone into this year. So I expect the youth outreach to stay the same, if not be higher this year. Excuse me. So, and you can see with the program priorities, the number of questions or clients that we interacted with per topic. The most popular was pollinators this year with over 1,500 questions. And the second one was soil health at over 1,300. So those are either where we spent most of our programming and outreach was focused in those areas, or that's what people are most concerned about. And then we also donated over 625 pounds of produce and 1,700 vegetable seedlings. So this is just kind of a snapshot of our impact. And I'm sure the actual numbers are probably a little bit bigger than this, because it's almost impossible to manage to tally every single question or every single client that we interact with. Or, you know, those 5-minute phone calls or emails that we do in between. But being able to demonstrate the impact that we have on our communities not only gives us it gives us credibility, but it also demonstrates to WSU, to the counties, to our grantors that are giving us money, the impact that we have in our communities, and give them cause to continue to invest in us as an organization. So I just wanted to share that. What, Rhonda, you have a question?
And adding to that, it is a incredible wealth of information that we use when we grant write to really show the rest of the community, the commissioners, the different cities, how much time all of you are putting in to both counties. And it's invaluable information. So the more you put in there, the better we look. And it really shows how hardworking all of you are.
Exactly. Thank you, Rhonda.
Erin?
Yeah.
Could you send me this as a PDF or something so I can print this out and have this on our table at the groundbreaking?
Sure.
I'd like a copy too, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it up.
Writing it down. Okay. So that's kind of where I was going with the impact. Let's see. Oh, Sharon, did you have a question? I see your hands up, but you're on mute.
This is also information that goes on our tax return. And one of the things you need to know about the foundation's tax return, you know, we're supporting the program, but we also mention what the program does. So again, people who are looking at potentially donating to the foundation, maybe looking at our tax returns, and this is another place that this information would be available.
Good point, Sharon. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk a little bit about is my transition to WSU staff. And I officially started as a WSU employee on March 30th. And I've been a master gardener for over 10 years. And so this is kind of a tough transition for me. Because I had to give up volunteering. And my first thought when I was asked to apply for the position was I didn't want to give up volunteering. But after thinking about it, I realized, you know, I mean, my impact on programming and working with the program can be just as great as a staff as it was as a volunteer. So, and I know it's going to be a transition for all of you as well. Getting used to, you know, what I can and can't do. I have fairly limited hours. I can only work 20 hours a week. And so it's, my hours are fairly flexible, but primarily I'm going to be working Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and then other times as needed. So I will still be able to attend some of the larger events, especially like the Home and Garden Show, where I'll be able to recruit, help recruit trainees. And that's one of the things. And when I was talking with Jennifer Markey, my core responsibilities as a program coordinator now are recruiting, training, retention, and capacity. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I have to do all of that myself. Those are my core duties. And just about everything falls into that in some way. And Wendy and I are working closely together to develop our training plan for this year, with information sessions and getting people on board. So excuse me. I do report to Dan Tudeberg. And then I also work closely with Jennifer Markey for programming support. So I do my contact info, so you can always leave me a message at the extension office if it's not urgent. You can call my cell phone if it is urgent. My email, my WSU email has not changed. It's erin.hoover@wsu.edu. And thanks, Kelly, for putting it in the chat. So I do still get some programs emails to my personal email, and I'd prefer not to have them go to my personal email just because I could get lost. Whereas if I'm more focused on my WSU email when I'm working, then that's where my focus is. I've also seen another email. I think it was Erin at WSU something. I can't remember exactly what it was right now, but that email I don't even check. I don't monitor it at all. It was for a back end thing for the event form. So if you send an email to that address, I will not get it. And I know for some people you start typing in my name and you just pick the first one, which is easy to do. So if you can be kind of more conscious about which email you're sending it to, so that way we'd make sure that the communication doesn't get lost. Let's see what else. Oh, Wendy will continue, like Kelly mentioned, as program assistant, which horribly undersells the work that she does, but that's the title of choice when there is a staff coordinator, is for if there's a volunteer in that position, for there to be a program assistant. Wendy is on vacation, I believe until the 25th. But we sat down and kind of worked out kind of a separation of our responsibilities, and her focus is for as far as the outward facing program, outward meaning to the program, is the Give Pulse. She's gotten really good at a lot of the back end stuff on Give Pulse, so I'm just going to let her do that and keep me updated. But things like outreach forms, expense reimbursement requests, things like that, all need to come to me. Let's see, what else? A couple other changes made at the extension office now that I have staff, is that all mail that's addressed to the Master Gardener program or the foundation will come directly to me first for screening. And then if there's something like checks or whatever for the treasurers or whoever else, whatever else shows up, I will call or email and let you know that it's there and you can come pick it up. The only request is that when you come in, that you let Andrea know that that's what you're doing when you go to my office. For those who know the layout of the extension office, my office it's right in front of Dan's. It's in the front corner of the office. Let's see, what else? Oh, also the Grace Harbor County Extension website. They just transitioned to the new platform and the new layout. It looks very much like our foundation website, and that isn't intentional. Because public facing, most people don't understand the difference between program and foundation. And so when they built the UFW project, that was the website templates were designed to mimic WSU's website design so that it's more seamless and the public sees less separation between those two. So that for now, that website, the Master Gardener part of that website will be managed by me. With the accessibility laws that have gone in, they're going into place right now. There is, I have to take special training to even get access to the website so that I can ensure everything I put on the website is accessible. And not knowing how strict those laws are going to continue to be, or if they're going to get more strict, or, you know, whatever happens. Eventually, at some point down the road, we might have a volunteer take that on, but for right now, Dan wants me to be able to manage that and the information that we put on there. And because because of the accessibility and because of the new layout, how we've used that website in the past, we may not be able to do it the same way in the future, but we will still have a calendar. And as soon as I can get access to it, that's the first thing I'm going to do, is make sure all of our events get on that calendar as well. I see, oh, Chris, it is not the office that has its own door. It's the one next to it. It was Danica's office, the noxious weed coordinator, and but she and her team moved into one of the back portables. So I have the one in the front, the one that's on the outside of the building. Any questions about that, about extension or staff or my role, anything like that? You know, this is going to be like a lot of information coming at you today, but
so overall, Erin, you'd prefer we just use the WSU email, because you check that regularly. That's for sure, right?
Yeah, I check it daily, even though I'm technically not supposed to. Just to make sure there's nothing urgent that needs my attention. So yeah, that one I do check regularly. So the next thing you may or may not have heard about is the regionalization, WSU Extension regionalization project. And this is, so WSU is entering a pivotal phase where the university needs to adapt its structure to better support the communities we serve. And as societal needs have evolved and demands on extension services grow, while budgets are tightening at the same time, it's become essential that extension positions itself for long-term success. And so they're implementing a phased transition to a regional director model. And we're in phase 1 of that effort. And so I'm going to share this document that WSU, can you see? There we go. Okay. So these regional directors are going to be administrative positions only. They're not going to be involved with programming. And this will actually allow a lot of those faculty and existing faculty and staff to refocus on their programming rather than a lot of the high-level administrative work. And it's going to really be able to foster collaboration between extension offices. And let's see what else. So, and it also is going to help fill a lot of staffing gaps. So for those of you that know Gary Fredericks, he was the extension director in Cowlitz County. He was much more than that. He was the Master Gardener Program Coordinator. He was the Small Farms Coordinator. He was the Livestock Advisor from Mason County all the way down to Clark County. He was the Interim Director in Lewis County. And also I think he was the Regional Dairy Advisor as well. And when he retired, it left this gaping hole in extension programming in the Southwest region. And so one thing that I want to be really clear on is that this regional model will not affect the programming. It won't affect how we operate day to day. It's like I said, this is an administrative role. I can't get to my scroll bar. There we are. Okay, so the pilot, there's 2 pilot regions, and the first one is the Northeast region, which is the Colville Tribes Extension Office, Ferry County, Okanagan, Pend Oreille, Spokane, and Stevens County. And then the Southwest region is Clark, Cowlitz, Lewis, Pacific, Thurston, and Wahkiakum. Now, something to keep in mind is okay, so I mean, you can see that Pacific is a part of this and Grace Harbor is not. And when I first saw this map, I immediately emailed Jennifer Markey and said, what does this mean? And let's see here. Make that bigger so you can see it better. And she assured me, she said, this will not change. Grace Harbor Pacific County is going to stay one program. But because Grace Harbor Mason operates under Dan Teuteberg, WSU opted not to include them in the Southwest region. The program coordinators in these regions, with the exception of Pacific County, will report directly to Jennifer Markey going forward. And Jennifer Markey has now been elevated to the program director rather than program lead, because she will have all those program coordinators reporting to her. I will continue to report to Dan, as will Tessa in Mason County. So, and really the Southwest, this Southwest region plus Grace Harbor Mason County has been meeting as a Southwest cluster. At one point, the Master Gardener program was regionalized itself. And so the Southwest cluster has continued to meet somewhere between every other month and quarterly ever since that regionalization or that cluster models stopped. So we will continue to do that, and we'll continue to operate the same way as far as that cluster. And everyone is welcome to those cluster meetings. Usually it's program coordinators and foundation presidents are usually the ones that are there most often. Jennifer Markey is going to be participating in these cluster meetings as well. But we really just connect and collaborate and share ideas between the counties about how we do different things to get different ideas, and just share our experiences across counties. So that has been a really something that's been really beneficial, that collaboration, and we're going to continue to do that. One of the great benefits I see to this regionalization is that now that there is going to be a regional director who, overseeing the administration of Pacific County, it's an opportunity to re-engage and support for Pacific County Extension. Particularly, my hope, I mean, that's part of this person's job, and they're actively recruiting this position. I haven't heard if they have any candidates or if the positions, what the status is on that yet. But that's going to be part of their job, is to engage the county commissioners and county government in all of these counties to maintain and or secure additional support for WSU Extension. So my hope is that I can work with this person to garner additional support from Pacific, or garner support from Pacific County for the Master Gardener program as well, as just even Sue in South Bend and the Extension office, and get just more support and overall. So that kind of covers the new regionalization pilot program. Does anybody have any questions about that?
I do. Are there local, as far as you know, Are there local coordinators for 4-H in all those counties?
I don't know what other kind of programs there are in those counties, but I know, and I don't know how, who they will report to if there's not a county director. Most of the information I have is just as it pertains to the Master Gardener program. So,
thanks.
And can you just clarify, Erin? So for the Southwest cluster, right? For,
Mhm.
so what is being recruited for? What is WSU recruiting for? What's that role?
WSU, it is a regional director.
Regional director.
Southwest, for the Southwest region. And it's a high level administrative position that will oversee the admin, like I said, engaging with the county commissioners and county governments and things like that.
Okay.
And report up to WSU. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking back at some of the chat. Oh, Kelly, you're up.
No, I was just going to say, Chris is very concerned that you do get a door. So we can aptly put a door. We can put a door on your office if you really want one.
No, there's 2 offices in that very front part of it, and so mine's the one that doesn't have an exterior door. Okay, I'm just double checking. So the last, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I didn't realize that they had moved the weed folks to the back office. So
yeah, they put mini splits in all of those back offices. So they're actually climate controlled now instead of miserably hot in the summer and miserably cold in the winter. So it's actually useful as office space now, which is nice.
So it's a less noxious area for the noxious weed people. That's for sure.
Right. All right. So, and then the last thing that I wanted to cover was some structural changes to the program. And my goal is to create a structure that will help us grow and manage the program, but also collaborate and coordinate to align with other Master Gardener programs throughout the state who are operating in a similar structure. And it will be team-based. So we will my plan is to transition it bring in one team at a time to get them up and running. And some teams will be more outreach focused and some will be more support focused. And the first team is going to be what I'm calling the tech and tools team. And their first focus is going to be to implement the Microsoft 365 platform. That team will build a SharePoint site for each additional team as they come on board, so they can have a digital library of everything they need to do their work. So some of those teams would be like plant clinics or educational delivery, a communications team, and additional teams as we decide we need them. I don't want to get too many teams because then it just gets too huge and unmanageable. But Wendy and I sat down and we hashed out, the initial 5 or 6 teams that we'd like to create. And initially, we also made a list of the people who are already doing that work in those areas. So who's already really focused on plant clinics and organizing and managing plant clinics and things as an example. Each team will have a team lead that will report to me to kind of give me updates, and we'll have a regular leadership meeting so that I'm in the loop on what's going on with a lot of these teams. Each team will absolutely have representation from both counties, not an option. I want to make sure that we are working as a cohesive program and that the voices of all of the micro-regions in our program are heard. But as I said, it's really to collaborate and coordinate programming and promotion and support for the program. And so we can coordinate, say, outreach activities and have, be giving the same class or the same workshop, in 3 or 4 different areas of the program on the same weekend, and then we can go in and buy supplies in bulk and save money. So it's a cost saving measure as well. So then we can redistribute those supplies out as needed. But I really want to amplify the existing efforts and rather than starting from scratch, because a lot of times I feel like we've got all these lesson plans and documents and things that we seem to keep recreating, or people are creating new ones all the time because we don't have a way to organize them, we don't have a way to manage them, and we don't have teams that work together to know where they are and how they want to use them. So, and as the teams grow and evolve, we'll put out a call for additional volunteers. But the key thing is you don't have to be a member of these teams to participate in that outreach. So if you don't want to be on the team and be part of the organizing and the planning of all the plant clinics, you can still attend plant clinics and put your time in there, or you can join the team for a short period of time and say, hey, this is my idea, and they work with it, and then you step out. So there's not a set number of people that has to be on each team or anything like that, as long as there's enough to make sure that the ideas are heard from all different parts of the program, geographically speaking. Teams will help to organize the work, but the work belongs to all of us. And so, my goal is to really, to help to lessen the load of the core volunteers who are, the 20% who seem to do 80% of the work, because I don't want to burn them out. We need to keep them for as long as possible, and hopefully get more people involved, because we'll have more documentation and we'll know where things are and who's where. And because I know I still hear from a lot of volunteers that they don't know how to volunteer, they don't know where to go to volunteer, they don't know what's available to volunteer at, and I'm hoping that a lot of that will rectify this. So I guess I know probably the big question is why teams, and part of it is to reduce the duplication of effort, so that we're, like I said, we're collaborating and working together and not duplicating the work. Sharing resources, being more consistent in our delivery across the program, and building a library of pre-approved resources. So, and the main goal is so that like this year, right now we're gonna, the first team is gonna be the tech and tools team. We'll get them up and running. By third quarter, I'm hoping the teams can begin meeting and planning for 2027. And I know that seems really early, but we want to finalize the 2027 plans in Q4 and prepare a budget. So we go into the new year with a plan, and we have a better idea of what it's going to cost to implement that plan. So that way, when the foundation's ready to do the 2027 budget, the program side's pretty much already done. And now that doesn't mean that, we plan 2027 and then, if you have an idea, that it's not set in stone, it's just kind of a starting framework. So if you do have ideas for additional programming as we get into 2027, we can do that. It's, I don't want to restrict that, but we want to try to start with a structure and have a general plan going into the new year, before the new year starts.
So Terry, you have your hand up, and Gail, you put a question in the chat. Terry, you want to go first?
Okay. So I have a question about the everything moving to Microsoft. So you have to be on Microsoft, use Microsoft in order to participate?
It's all web-based, so there you don't have to download or install anything Microsoft. It's basically a website that, depending on the security that's required, we may put passwords in place, so you'll have a login and password to access some of it if we don't want it to be public. But for the most part, it's all online and it's all browser based.
Okay, thank you.
And Gail, your question was, how do these teams affect the current regional directorships we have?
The regional direction, the regions, coastal, greater Grace Harbor and Pacific counties, will eventually phase out. They were, other than Greater Grace Harbor, I don't think there was ever an official program. There wasn't anything official on the program side that created them as positions within the program. Yeah, so I mean, we'll phase that out. I don't intend to just, stop it. It will be a transition as we get these teams going. The teams will replace the regions. Okay. So, and the new director, Rita, you're as the new director, I'm assuming you're asking the regional director for Pacific County. Is that what you were asking, Rita?
I'm asking about this new organizational structure that you're showing us.
They won't have any impact on how the Master Guard, the Extension regional director will not have any impact on the Master Gardener program directly at all.
So they're not going to have any interactions at all with the Master Gardeners? No,
it's purely administrative. And so it'll only be me that will work with that regional director, or maybe Dan on my behalf. I don't know. That's still kind of all in the air because we don't know, the person hasn't been hired yet. So as for the teams, that will be, there won't be a Pacific County director probably after 2027. That'll be absorbed into the team structure. I was to say a Master Gardener director as opposed to an Extension director. That's two very different things.
So your expectation for 2027 though that we would have regional directors, Coastal Grace Harbor, Greater Grace Harbor, and Pacific County, or do you think even by next year? Do you think this is the last full year we'll have the regional directors?
That's the expectation. That's what based on the timeline that Wendy and I created. That part actually was her idea, and I kind of agree that we want to get these teams up and running so we can have a plan for 2027 in plenty of time.
So Terry,
my question is this WSU?
Go ahead, Rhonda. You were on, yeah.
I didn't have my hand raised. That's okay. Let Terry ask.
Well, okay. So this sounds like it's a decision about program, not about the foundation. So
correct.
Can the foundation still have directors?
They can if they choose to, but the job description for those directors says that they have the financial responsibility to the foundation, and that's actually my role. That's my responsibility, according to WSU.
Okay, so I don't understand how these committees are going to replace the things we do on a regional level, like have monthly meetings and have all the business that goes on, kind of reviewing everything in our monthly meetings. I don't get how this is going to help.
Well, it's, I mean, we didn't used to have, this was the monthly meeting before we regionalized. And
But what the let's see, what the monthly meetings do is provide an in-person opportunity, which this meeting doesn't provide.
no, these would be online because of the broad scope of the membership. So, I mean, we're doing more general meetings in person, and there are gonna, and I would love to see more opportunities to meet in person in the future.
So it sounds like some of that's going to get worked out, Terry. And you make a good point, Terry, is that we as the foundation could decide to have other officers and other roles, right? For whatever purposes that could be our part of our governance. And again, that's a shout out, by the way, for the governance discussion regarding bylaws and articles of incorporation that will occur at 1 o'clock here later today. Rhonda, you have your hand up now.
Oh, sorry. I guess I'm trying to understand. Generally, when you make a change, it's because there's been a problem. And so you effectively look for some way to fix that problem. I don't understand what the problem is or was that's caused. It sounds like this is directive that you and Wendy are doing. And what is this going to solve?
Well, it was something that Wendy and I actually have been discussing for over a year. But in my discussions with Jennifer Markey, this is the way that most of the other programs, meaning those that have more than like 20 master gardeners, operate because they find it more effective and efficient. But I also find that the current regional setup tends to be, some people don't understand, they find it exclusive or that's the word just left my brain. Divisive, I guess. That's more of an extreme word than I would like to use, but I can't think of a better one off the top of my head.
Gail, you had your hand up earlier. Is there anything you wanted to pipe in on that?
Well, I was concerned about the potential demise of the regional meetings as well. I understand Erin's interest in streamlining the structure, and the teams would absolutely do that. But I think that if we eliminate the regional meetings, we risk losing some of the camaraderie within the group. And that's very important for this group, that we do have face-to-face meetings. It doesn't have to be every meeting, but we do need an opportunity to get together and talk as master gardeners when we're not in the midst of a workshop or in the midst of training.
Yeah.
So that needs to be considered, I do believe.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't see, with the coastal group, I don't really see divisiveness at all. It's just that, they're kind of remote. And then yesterday in our development meeting, Rita was there, and we were talking about, new grants and stuff to really spruce up the Cranberry Museum, and that they were having, issues with a lot of the potential master gardeners there were crossing the river and, getting their Oregon State master gardener stuff because there wasn't anything, close for them to kind of, plug into. And so it seems like that this would exasperate that because of our remoteness. I just kind of don't see. I can see like King County or in some of the other ones, they're more condensed. We're not. We're like very strung out, and a lot of the members at all the different areas, we go to other locations and participate. So I don't feel like we're trying to be exclusionary. We still are participating, but we do need the local stuff to just, keep everybody attached, kind of thing. So that's just my.
Well, and I wasn't trying to say that anyone was being exclusionary. I just know that there are some master gardeners who don't quite get the regionalization model, that they feel like they can't, they're not supposed to go to events or things in the other regions.
Oh, I mean, yeah, we don't. I think we make it very clear in coastal that, people can go and to participate in all these things. It's just that some people don't choose to because they don't want to drive that far. So I think it's just more of a, they don't want to go that far to participate kind of thing.
Terry, you have your hand up, and then Val, you have your hand. You'd raise your hand.
Well, I guess this is kind of new, so I'm just trying to digest it. But this committee thing, to me, sounds more like it's going to separate us more than bring us together. That it's going to compartmentalize kind of how we interact, how we, who we talk to. So I don't know. I'm not seeing this as an improvement. But I'm an old timer. I like some of the old things we did, like get together more often. And I feel like the regional division kind of gives us that opportunity.
And this is, I think some of your comments, Terry, echo what Lori said in the chat, saying it'd be good to get some of this in writing so we can actually clear, because it's a lot to digest. Val, you had your hand up.
One of the major reasons that Greater Grace Harbor incorporated, if you will, was to have a place for all of us to come and talk about Master Gardener stuff. I was trained very nicely with the separation between the foundation and the Master Gardener program. I've heard a lot of talk in these two counties that people say, what's the difference still? And we always make it very clear that anybody is welcome in our meetings. And I think, but I in Elma really don't fathom driving down to Ilwaco on a regular basis. And I think that feeling is shared, or all the way around to where Mike and Kelly are. I mean, that's a day trip from Elma. And I think that we have great socialization. It's connected us tremendously, and we talk about the issues related to our workshops and our just being a master gardener and asking questions that don't have a platform regularly. So I'm on board with what Terry was saying about this committee approach is going to make it really difficult to meet in person. And so that's just my 2 bits. So thanks.
What Erin, of course, has neglected to share is that with all the money we're raising, with all these new functions, we'll be able to afford helicopter transport. And so we'll be able to, amongst the foundation, we'll be able to get people across all of our regions, much more closely together. Yes.
I'm on board
It'll
with
be an
that.
OCE
Totally.
opportunity.
Yeah. Chris, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just remember 100 years ago when it was way after Terry became a master gardener, but it was before COVID in 2014. And I know you remember this, Kelly. We all used to meet at the Lions Club during the day when all of us at work could never go. And it never got recorded, and we never knew anything about it. Unless, of course, you were retired and you got to go. But that's when a lot of the foundation had set up, because Dawn was already gone. The foundation set up these things, and for example, we used to do First Saturdays. Well, they all happened out in Elma. And so there's Pacific County having to drive all the way up to Elma to do a First Saturday. It wasn't as sweet as we make it out to be. It was not perfect by a long shot.
It will never be perfect with the distance that separates all of us. So I don't, yeah, anyway.
Erin, I think this is good feedback, and good feedback to take in, right? And
I'm scribbling.
and it's great that we're socializing this. I think we want to celebrate this debate. That's the key thing I think we really want to note here is that, all of us have a voice, and we definitely have. We have geographic issues, right? We have travel issues. The weather can be inclement during the winter time, so getting together, wherever, right, can be challenging for us all here. So, Erin, is there any further thoughts on this? Because this is good feedback and good discussion.
No, I've been writing down a lot of the comments, and we'll take them into consideration as we move forward.
I want to hear what Elizabeth has to say.
I have a thought. And my thought is that we're in transition. We're in a major transition statewide with the regions, etc. Let's, with a new coordinator who's actually a paid person, who's actually an employee somewhere, let's give it some time. Let's continue to talk about it, but let's give it some time and see how this works.
There you go. The voice of patience.
But not exclude our group monthly meetings.
Nobody has said those have to stop that I heard.
Yeah. No one's putting a stop sign on anything here. So let's just, Erin, other thoughts, other questions, other points, other feedback. Erin, other news, other sharing. This is, again, it's a time of transition, as Elizabeth's noting.
Yeah, I think I've shared everything. I will try to, create kind of an explainer document that might be easier to refer back to and reference as we move forward.
Boy, and I'm sure as you evolve, as you and Wendy and Dan and Jennifer evolve some of these thoughts, I'm sure that, a committee or a little task force or other group feedback, you could easily solicit that resource, if you wanted to have that, that forum to have more feedback on this. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Other thoughts, other comments, other notes for the good of the order. Again, I want to invite people to join us at 1 p.m. today for the bylaws and MOA and articles of incorporation discussion. That's riveting stuff, governance stuff like that. It's riveting. Lots of shalls and shoulds, Okay. Okay, if nothing else, thank you all. May you all survive what is supposed to be a windy, gusty, wet day today and tomorrow, but with better weather coming Thursday and Friday. And of course, lots and lots of stuff on the calendar, as we talked about earlier. So those of you going to Bremerton tomorrow, enjoy the garden. It's a great experience, right? And those of you on Thursday, of course, congratulations for the Digisaur's groundbreaking. That's a big deal, So, we indeed are moving forward and making a lot of things happen here. Okay. Anything else for the good of the order? Okay, we'll see everyone. Take care.